Hey, welcome back everyone. It is time for another red hot covered call video. Hey, look, today we're going to talk about how I pick great stocks for writing covered calls. Look, this is one of the number one questions I get in my inbox, and I know you cats want to see this video. Look, on YouTube, you'll see a lot of videos about covered call theory and covered call basics. One of the things that's really hard to find is somebody that actually gives you a video on how they pick stocks. So I'm actually going to show you today how I pick my winners. Now, before I get into that, I do want to qualify it. Look, I tell you in my videos all the time, once you find that great stock that you feel comfortable with and you want to trade time and time again, the stock picking process is not that hard. In fact, it becomes very fluent and it flows like water when the stock gets to a range where you want to buy it. So part of this video is to show you how I find new stocks, which I don't know anything about, and the process I use to vet those stocks. And then I'm going to show you a Chevron trade, how I use those same technical indicators, those same covered call golden rules to buy the stock and then write a nice 40-day covered call. So we're going to talk about a couple things here. So this is probably going to be part one of a multiple part series because I get questions in the YouTube comments below all the time asking me to do a video on how I pick great stocks. So look, that's what we're going to do today. Now look, let's get to it. If you like what we're doing here at the channel, I want you to subscribe to the channel. And look, if you like this video today, bang that like button. It lets me know you like what I'm doing. Now, one of the number one questions I get on my Ask John website, that's right, if you go to ctpdashboard.com, you can click on Ask John and send me a question. I'll reply back to you with what I would do. Remember, I can't give predictions or recommendations. I'm not certified. But look, I have experience, and a lot of your situations are the situations I had when I first started this. Now, I had my mentor Jerry to ask those questions, and he would spend the time and talk to me about them. Well, I can do the same for you. You just have to go to my website, click Ask John, and submit your question. Now look, one of the number one questions is, how do I pick those good covered call stocks? Now, one of the other big questions is, should people pay for monthly services? And I'm going to say this, I paid for all those services. For me, I wasn't ready. I didn't have the experience when I paid for those services. So I really felt like I was left holding the bag, not using the services, feeling like a loser when I'm kicking down $100 a month, $200 a month. Look, get your experience first. Use YouTube and videos like mine to really start to build your foundation for your financial education. Then open up that small account, maybe do a small, very comfortable trade, and then do 2 trades, then do 5 trades. And then if you feel like you want to up your game paying for somebody's service, I say do it. So let's get to that question. Now, my criteria for finding a good covered call stock is this. 1, remember, you have to own the stock. You know, I'm out there on YouTube just like you, and I'm always looking for that next great covered call stock. The one thing I always have to be grounded in is the knowledge that I have to own the stock. See, when I purchase the stock, I own that risk. Sometimes that can get away from us because we're looking to buy that stock, write that covered call, and have that cash money in our hand. Well, then we find out we own a stock we really don't know anything about, or maybe we don't even want to own the stock because we bought the stock based on some recommendation from some secret sauce guru. Look, you really have to do your homework because at the end of the day, you are holding the risk of holding the stock. So, one of the things I always use when I'm looking to buy a stock to write a covered call is I'm going to use those covered call golden rules that we always talk about because ultimately I want to lower my risk. And if we don't adhere to the golden rules, we're adding risk to the trade. Now, when I purchase that stock, I'm going to make sure that the trend lines, the long-term trend lines and the short-term trend lines are where I want them to be, upward trending. I'm going to show you a chart here in a minute. I'm going to use technical indicators as well. I have a couple that I use. Don't know if you'll use them, but I use them and it helps me find a good entry point and it gives me that peace of mind knowing that the rest of Wall Street feels the same. I use the CTP Dashboard to find new stocks. See, I always talk about finding that great basket of stocks that I'm always going to use, right? I talk about Win, Microsoft. Those are the ones that I've already done the research on. But hey, look, if I'm going to go find that brand new stock that I know nothing about, well, I'm going to start with the CTP Dashboard. Why? It has the IDB 50 in it. These are the best stocks performing right now. Now, remember, the CTP Dashboard has the ETF, the FFTY in it, which is the IDB 50, which changes regularly. So that's why you want to download the CTP Dashboard because it's your chance to see what stocks are trending the best right now on Wall Street. Street. But hey, that's no guarantee. I've actually watched some stocks on the CTP dashboard and I've followed them, and those stocks have crashed because of earnings or news events that have gone negative. So remember, you're painting the picture for less risk. Remember, there's always risk. And staying disciplined to my diversification, right? I've talked about diversification in the past. I do not want to find myself in a spot where I'm loading up on, let's say, a Chevron, which puts me in a bad spot in terms of having it overweighted in my portfolio. Look, I like to make little crumbs. And the way I look at it is if I can make a $100 crumb here, $100 crumb there, we do it on 5 and 6 stocks, that's real money. Well, using that idea of diversification helps me smooth out the risk. And if one sector or one stock tanks like oil did 2 years ago, I don't feel the pain. So I always want to stay disciplined. And I always treat this like a business. Look, when I enter a trade, it's no different than me, let's say, making a purchase in a business or running a business. Look, I want to make sure I do the right things. And I never want to do this willy-nilly. And for me, that's why I use my spreadsheets. I'm always making sure I know what the numbers are. Now, this isn't that hard, but that's my approach. And if I approach it like a business, I'm going to be very disciplined, and for the most part, I'm going to be successful. Real quick before we start looking at a chart, the covered call golden rules are simple, but we want to adhere to them. I always want to purchase S&P type companies. Why? Because they have tons of volume. A lot of times they're great stocks, so Wall Street will look to buy them up, or if they do fall, Wall Street will be looking to buy them back, right? They're great stocks, great opportunities. They usually have a dividend as well, so that's going to meet another criteria of my investing discipline. I want a company to pay me while I'm holding it, right? I also want to pick stocks that have that high volume, because usually we get that 100 or more open interest on the options we're selling, right? That covered call we're selling. We want people interested. I've told you many times where I've used Whirlpool trying to get that crumb, and I sold a covered call where I had less than 10 open interest. And hey, some sucker took it, right? But then when I tried to get out of the trade later, there was nobody there to buy my option back on a limit order. So I had to sell at a market order, getting less than I wanted. Now, that's a little more advanced, but for the most part, that's the covered call golden rules, and I try to use them on every trade. Now, technical indicators are very important because these are great for entry points. How many times have I tried to swing trade a stock and I do not look at the technicals and I end up buying higher, only to have that sucker fall and I'm left holding the bag. And look, holding the bag of a loss and the emotional loss. Because back when I was swing trading, man, I thought I knew what I was doing. Well, guess what? I didn't. Thank God Jerry taught me how to write covered calls and sell cash secure puts, because now, not only am I having that success, I'm also using technical indicators to really up my game and help me with my entry points. And that's the key. A lot of times I buy these stocks when they've fallen. See, they've fallen to a low where I think they're at support and Wall Street's going to buy them back. That's not a guarantee. That's one of my indicators, and I feel like I'm getting great entry points. Well, look, I'm going to use the 50-day, 100-day, 200-day moving average to give me that upward trend line. If a stock's trading above it, then that tells me Wall Street likes it. In an upward and sideways trending market, that's a good thing, because we want to write those out of the money covered calls, collecting both stock appreciation and the premium. Now look, I use Keltner channel. Why do I use Keltner channels? I'm just like you. I watch Chuck Hughes and how he picks his ETFs. He uses the Keltner channel, which is different than the Bollinger Bands. But the Keltner channel gives you that stock trading range, right? It gives you a range. And when we have that range, we can buy towards the bottom of the range, hoping to get a good entry point if we don't have any bad news, right? Well, that Keltner channel is something I use all the time, and I'm going to show you how I did it with Chevron here in a minute. Now, I use the on balance volume upward trending. That's going to indicate good buying, meaning people are buying it, Wall Street's buying it, and if you have the upward trending OBV line, that tells you there's people out there putting money at risk just like you. Now, to be honest, just to finish this up, the trend lines and the Keltner channel are my favorite, and quite frankly, as I'm doing this on the fly, I only use those. The OBV is gravy. If we have that upward trending OBV, that's perfect. If not, Can't have them right all the time. So really what I'm looking for are those trend lines and the Keltner channel to really give me that feeling that I'm making a right decision. Now, before we get to the CTP dashboard, I want to show you an older chart of WIN. This is how I look at it. Now, in this case, WIN is trending above the 50-day, 100-day, 200-day. The Keltner channels, it's near the top, okay? And the on-balance volume, see it at the bottom? It is trending higher. So in this case, everything here is telling me this is good. The one thing, the feedback the chart's giving me right now is, if I'm going to buy WIN right here, it's a little bit high on the Keltner channel. So I know going into this trade that if WIN finds itself at resistance, right? Do you see right there at the 195 mark? See that? We could almost draw a line right across. We could draw a line right across here, and that's resistance for the stock. See on this one day where it hit resistance and did not close above it? That tells me that 195 is resistance. So anywhere near there, we have to look for it to peel back. Now, if it closes the day above 195, we can start to have a new support line. And that's important because Wall Street loves that when a stock breaks through resistance and stays above it. Now, that gets very technical. I'm not going to profess to be an expert here, but that's what I'm looking for. And in this case, I think WIN is a little pricey for me buying WIN right here. But if I'm going to buy WIN, I need to know it. It's telling me a story, right? Now, I'm going to show you in the case of Chevron, where Chevron was trading lower on the Keltner channel, and that's where I thought it was a good entry point. Okay, so I'm getting a little long here. I do want to show you how I use the CTP dashboard and my recent trade on Chevron. Okay, so the CTP dashboard is free, and I use it to try to find those new stocks that I typically don't trade, but I'm always looking for that next great trade, right? Well, in this case, what I'm going to do with the CTP dashboard is I'm going to search by price, because sometimes I want to maybe invest $3,000 or $6,000 on a trade because I only have so much money. So what I want to do is find that great stock based on price. And in this case, I was looking, and I've been watching over the past couple weeks, is this company called TTGT. Now, this is not a recommendation and this is not a prediction. I've been watching them, and right now they show up red on the CTP dashboard. So again, it's telling me a story. I don't want to purchase TTGT right here because if I buy it and write a covered call, I'm going to find myself in some turbulent waters come earnings. We want to reduce risk. We're painting this picture in the moment. Now, with stocks like Microsoft and WIN, look, I use those throughout the year. And what I'll do is I'll switch between them all based on where they're at in their earnings cycle. But if I'm buying a brand new stock, negative, I have to make sure it meets all the criteria of the covered call golden rules. So in this case, TTGT is not going to work out for me, but I am going to show you the chart just so you can actually get a feel. So we can look at this together and discuss the chart. So it's trading at $32. It's a part of the IDB 50. It does have earnings coming up. Now, I'm going to use the CTP dashboard to verify that. It takes us to Earnings Whispers. Usually Earnings Whispers gives us a really good feel. And there it is, August 8th. So being that it's July 21st, our covered call cycle here, right? Our covered call earnings cycle is going to be 30 days. So it sits right smack dab in the middle of our earnings cycle. So in this case, I'm going to pass on TTGT, but I'm going to keep it on my watch list because once we get past earnings, and let's say it has good earnings, man, I might be looking to buy it and use it to write some covered call. Now, getting back to the chart, I love to just look at the chart and again, have it tell me a story. And in this case, you could see it is blowing away the trend lines. So we've had some news cycles here. I'll probably dig into a little bit further as to why the stock fell right here. But at this point, you could just see Wall Street's buying this up and chances are it's going to beat their numbers. But look, I'm going to do that research. I'm going to go to Alpha, Seeking Alpha. I'm going to check out their last earnings reports. I'm going to try to do all the things that really start to reduce risk if I'm going to put hard-earned money into a new stock that I purchase. And one last thing with the CTP dashboard, I always like to click watching here. It highlights that stock. Of the 100 stocks, it highlights all the ones I'm checking. All I have to do is search by flag of stock, and you'll see that it puts all of the stocks that I'm watching at the top. So that's a cool little feature of the CTP dashboard. And searching by price, because I know a lot of you cats only have maybe $10,000 to invest. By clicking on price and sorting by price, you're able to do that quickly and effectively. Now, let's finish this up real quick. I'm going to show you that I go to stockcharts.com. This is just a great place where I can just pick those technical indicators, put them on a chart, and I can see where the stock's at right now. Notice that I just added the Keltner channels. I left the default settings. I added on balance volume. Doesn't really have any settings. When I draw that chart by clicking update, notice here's your chart. Now let's get into this chart and I'll show you my recent covered call trade where I'm knocking down almost 6%. So Chevron recently has been peeling back from its recent high of about 127. Remember I talked to you about resistance? See how it's been just knocking at the door at 127. Chevron is one of my favorite stocks. Well, oil's found itself back above 70. Chevron has found a little bit of footing here around that 120 number. So using those Keltner channels, look what we get. Look at the Keltner channel right here around 120. So for me, if Chevron's trading around that 120, 119 number, that's a good entry point. And quite frankly, the last time it got there, I did not buy. And I said to myself, look, if we get back there, I'm not going to miss that opportunity. And if you remember my last trade on Chevron, I told you that I bought the stock, got a juicy $1.20 on a 30-day covered call premium and stock appreciation, and I picked up the $1.08 dividend. Well, guess what's happening next month? We're getting earnings again. We're getting that dividend again. So this is what I did. Using that Keltner channel where you could see Chevron hit 121X. Man, I said this is a great opportunity. I don't buy higher around 127, 128 where all the fluff's at. I buy lower and I'm going to be able to get that $1 premium and that $1 dividend if I hold this for 30 days. Well, in the case of a 30-day trade, their X date is on August 16th. The expiration is August 17th. Well, the August 17th would probably have my shares taken away one day before because I ended up writing the 127. So here's my thinking. Over the next 30 days, Chevron will bounce higher and head towards 127 and test that resistance again. See, Wall Street wants that fat dividend as well, and we have earnings coming up. And right now, with oil trading at 70, man, you would think that Chevron's going to have some pretty good earnings. So what I wanted to do is push out my expiration date one full week because then I might miss where somebody snatches my shares to pick up that dividend. So what I did was I picked the 127 and I got a $1.09 for that. Well, I'm going to pick up that dividend, a $1.08, and that's going to give me a 6.5% gain in this 40-day window. Now, that's if my shares are taken away. I think, and I feel pretty confident right now that Chevron could go higher. By the time we get to August 24th, chances are Chevron might be back at 127. And hey, look, if my shares are taken away, I've knocked down 6.5% in this little 40-day window. We get the cash, we look to move on. And hey, I'll probably go to the CTP Dashboard and find the next great covered call stock. Hey, look, this is going to be part one because part two, we're going to dig into those technicals and we're really going to dive into a lot of that support line. Remember, with the support line, man, I love using that for selling cash secure puts and I cherry pick those profits. You won't want to miss that. Part two is going to talk about support lines, more on the Keltner channels. And hey, look, and I'm always going to show you a profitable trade. Go on over to ctpdashboard.com, download your free version. And hey, look, if you haven't gone to Facebook and joined the Facebook group, that's where I'm posting up a lot of these daily trades. And they're starting to get a look-see at how I approach some of these trades. Look, go over to Facebook, search CTP Dashboard, like that page so you can join the off YouTube discussion. I hope you learned something with this video, but more importantly, what I hope you do is use this video as a part of other videos, building that financial education and getting that confidence to open up that small brokerage account and getting your first trade under your belt. It's all about experience because you have to believe me. If you do 1, 2, or 5 trades, next thing you know, you are the expert. And I'm telling you, you'll have success. Hey, look, if you like this video today, bang that like button. And until next time, I hope all your covered calls are profitable.
All I see is signs, all I see is dollar signs.